Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's Word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis, weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of the Oasis can...
Ready to tackle that building project? Start right. Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for building supplies. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
Interex Distributors presents the ultimate tile clearance sale. Transform your space for less. Dunrobin Plaza, 30 Dunrobin Avenue. The temperature by Interex Distributors is
28 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 30 out west in Montego Bay.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Roby Ann Williams.
And I'm Shalois Michael.
In Nationwide News at this hour, National Security Minister says government's crime-fighting measures resulted in 3,000 lives saved.
Without the investments and the action and planning of our government, Jamaica would have continued a trajectory that would have made us one of the most unsafe places in the world.
And Dr. Horace Chang is urging groups to stop trying to dictate police policy.
Dennis Gordon rebuffs latest summons by Parliament's Ethics Committee.
This is overreaching the committee's mandate. It has no jurisdiction or authority to summon me.
And Parliament's Legislative Council recommends that the impasse be referred back to the House of Representatives.
Taxi operators in Price Right and Chancery Avenue in St. Andrew protest following standoff with the police.
In news from the rest of the world, autopsy reveals a Trinidad police woman died from strangulation.
Iran sees mass redundancies from war with US and Israel.
In headline sports, West Indies regional first-class game called off after a player was struck on the head and hospitalized.
And later in our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, commanding officer for the St. Thomas Police, DSP Rowan Ritchie, says the tragic death of a Seaforth High student after being stabbed by a schoolmate occurred in spite of a series of interventions over the past several months. Director for Regional Educational Services for Region 2, Yashika Blackwood Grant, and Director of the Safety and Security Unit, Richard Troop, will join us.
In the nation's business at 6:25, MP for East Central St. Andrew Dennis Gordon has refused the summons to reappear before Parliament's Ethics Committee, citing a lack of jurisdiction.
This is overreaching the committee's mandate. It has no jurisdiction or authority to summon me without an express referral from the full Parliament.
You'll hear more from Tuesday's sitting of the committee.
Taking you around the world at 6:45, leading South African opposition politician Julius Malema has been sentenced to 5 years after being found guilty of illegal possession of a gun and firing it in public. You'll hear more.
At 7, it's the comments section. This evening we're asking, should conflict resolution be part of the school curriculum from the early childhood stage? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM.
And at 8, it's Prescription for Life with Dr. Andre McDonald. All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile, Nationwide 90FM, RevoNews.ai, and on the Revo News app. It's available on Google Play and the App Store. This Tuesday afternoon, it's Tuesday, April 21, 2026.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90FM.
Now to the details. Minister of National Security Dr. Horace Chang says 3,000 lives have been saved to date through the continued support and investment in the country's security forces. Dr. Chang opened the sectoral debate in the House of Representatives on Tuesday, outlining the Holness administration's achievements in fighting crime. Shalois Michael tells us more.
Dr. Horace Chang credits the Holness administration with reversing the country's trajectory on crime.
Prior to the year of Andrew Holness-led administration took office in 2016, Jamaica was on an upward trajectory of escalating gang activity and violent crime. These trends continued in 2017 into 2017, when the country recorded one of the highest homicide rates, 60 per 100,000, with 1,647 murders. This level of violence far exceeded the capacity of the normal policing activity in the country. But then, under the leadership of Dr. Andrew Holness, we made a decision. We made a sober decision. We decided that Jamaica would not surrender to criminality. We made it clear that gangs would not operate freely or comfortable in this country, and that crime would carry consequences, swift and certain consequences.
In opening the sectoral debate, Dr. Chang told members of Parliament that to date, the country's murder rate has been dramatically reduced and thousands of lives have been saved.
We give God thanks for our successes, but it was hard work, good policy to start with, good planning, hard work and investment in our security forces. But let me go a little further. It will suggest that since 2017, we have saved 3,000 lives by the work of government. This represents an average of 374 Jamaicans who are still alive today to look to our future. Shooting and other violent crimes all decline. We express gratitude not only to our security forces, but to our international partners. Without the investments and the action and planning of our government, Jamaica would have continued a trajectory that would have made us one of the most unsafe places in the world. Today, people are beginning to have confidence in the street again.
Dr. Chang says this was accomplished through the unprecedented investment in the security forces and building modern security infrastructure. He says this is most evident in the swelling of the JCF ranks, with more than 7,000 additional police personnel.
This level of investment is far greater than in the previous period in our history and reflects a deliberate strategy to build a modern, capable, and responsive security architecture. The security capital expenditure can be seen on display, and it is obvious what happened after 2016. Madam Speaker, when an institution moves on average expenditure under $3 billion per year to it now spends up to $20 billion in 1 year, it reflects a dramatic movement. We have many agencies I've referred to before, and each play a significant and important role in restoring public order, bringing peace to our communities, but the JCF is on the front line. They lead it. Since 2018, we have recruited and trained approximately 7,100 police officers.
Shalois Michael for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, the Minister of National Security has urged certain groups to stop trying to dictate police policy. Speaking to the issue of body-worn cameras, Dr. Chang insisted only Police Commissioner Dr. Kevin Blake has any authority to direct the rank and file in such a matter.
We have acquired body-worn cameras and they have been deployed, but deployment is decided by the Commissioner of Police. Body-worn cameras are part of modern police equipment, and the only person who has the authority and the professional capacity to instruct where they should go is the Commissioner of Police as a team. No civil society organization can tell us where to put them. That was what was damaging the police for years. Everybody liked cowboy policing and downmanship and then tell police how to go police. Cameras are good for transparency and accountability, and we will continue to acquire. We have another 1,000 order, and the police will provide the equipment. Well, let me make it plain. The police force, my job is oversight and providing equipment. Society holds them accountable. They do policing, and we have an excellent commissioner of police. We know that.
The JCF has come under increased scrutiny over the lack of body-worn cameras during planned police operations. The concern has repeatedly been raised by the Independent Commission of Investigations, INDICOM. Civil society groups such as Jamaicans for Justice, JFJ, have similarly echoed the concern. But Dr. Chang cautions against comments that could seek to undermine the legitimacy of the police force.
Cause that make the police look like they are acting criminally in high violence and in difficult areas. It undermines the authority of the police. More critically, and I feel strongly, I said, I didn't lose my temper when I went and raided and I wasn't fully out yet. It hurts me personally, very strongly about it. We must allow the criminal justice system and the oversight body to work. You put policemen at risk. You put 2 police officers in my constituency, retiring members of the force, were killed because it was said that police were killing people without cause.
Dr. Horace Chang, Minister of National Security.
Member of Parliament for East Central St. Andrew, the PNP's Dennis Gordon, has refused a summons to reappear before Parliament's Ethics Committee, citing a lack of jurisdiction. The committee had called Gordon to clarify statements he had before the body in response to revelations about his company, Jack Den Limited, and the University Hospital of the West Indies. The matter has now been referred to the House of Representatives. Siobhan Campbell has that story.
Parliament's Ethics Committee decided to recall Dennis Gordon at its last sitting on Wednesday. Opposition committee members did not attend the sitting, but government members in attendance expressed concern that information he may have provided to the committee in seeking an exemption to pursue state contracts is inaccurate. This is based on what is now in the public domain. But Gordon has rejected the summons. Chairperson Marlene Malahoo Fort read his refusal into the record at Tuesday's meeting of the committee.
Good day. Be advised that I will not attend any such sitting. This is overreaching the committee's mandate. It has no jurisdiction or authority to summon me without an express referral from the full Parliament.
Mrs. Malahoo Fort called the stance taken by Gordon improper.
This committee will have to consider, in addition to all of the other issues that may arise out of this single matter, whether it is ethical and appropriate for a member to refuse to attend before the committee to provide clarification. Because there are rules which protect anyone providing responses to any committee. And just to say that that response, which was read from the member, does not sit well with me as chair of this committee or as a member of the House. And this is not about witch hunting anyone. It's not about pointing finger at anyone. It's not about trying to. It just does not sit well with me.
But opposition committee member Anthony Hilton defended Gordon's decision. According to Hilton, there are jurisdictional issues with the summons.
I think the issue is a bit more stark than you have presented it just now, because the member, a request was made, a summon, in other words, sent to the member. The member, no doubt, having reflected on all of the matters related to this that are not only confined to this committee but elsewhere, has indicated that the committee, it is his advice or opinion that the committee lacks jurisdiction. That's a fundamental question. That question, for this committee cannot proceed beyond that without getting legal opinion and clarification on this matter.
In the end, the Ethics Committee decided to forward the issue to the House of Representatives for further discussion,
with the question of jurisdiction to be determined. What I am saying is that the member has said in his response that the committee does not have the jurisdiction to deal with the matter. It would require, without a full resolution, referral from the House. And that is the matter that we're going back to report to the House on.
Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, Mr. Hilton called on the committee to consider advice obtained by Leader of Opposition Business in the House of Representatives, Philip Paulwell, on the matter from Parliament's Legislative Council. But Hilton failed to provide the details of that advice to the committee.
Madam Chair, may I suggest, if the Legislative Council, because in reading the minutes, the matter did come up about seeking legal advice. In fact, my recollection is that you, in your response as chairman, thought it would not be appropriate to seek legal advice at that juncture, stating that this is a factual issue and doesn't need legal advice. Madam Speaker, I am cautioning that you may well want to be, this committee may well want to have reference to the advice of the Legislative Council as a part of this House and as part of this committee before we report on it.
Chairperson Malahoo Fort chided Hilton for his inconsistency on the matter.
What you're now seeking to do is for matters that you have privy to, that you're privy to be brought before the committee at this stage. And I'm saying to you that it will come in due course. Right now, it is a question of the jurisdiction of the committee to recall the member without a referral from the House in light of what he has said. And you have said that he was a quite correct in his response to the committee. So you can't blow hot and cold.
Exactly.
Because you can't in one breath said that his response is a proper response and I am now seeking to act on his response and you're trying to stop me.
Marlene Malahoo, Ford chairperson for Parliament's Ethics Committee.
And the Parliament's Legislative Council has recommended that the Dennis Gordon Ethics Committee impasse be referred back to the House of Representatives. The legal memorandum was provided by Acting Senior Legislative Counsel Tiffany Stewart on April 21, 2026. It cites emails from Member of Parliament for East Kingston and Port Royal Philip Paulwell, dated April 20 and April 19, 2026, regarding the request of the Ethics Committee. The document explains that under established parliamentary procedure, including guidance from Erskine May, any attempt to reconsider an approved exemption requires a new motion from the House. The memo further clarifies that parliamentary committees operate strictly within the scope defined by the House and cannot independently reopen or review decisions already ratified. It says to revisit the exemption granted to Gordon, the House would need to table, debate, and pass a new substantive motion, potentially including steps to rescind or amend the earlier resolution. The memorandum cites Standing Order 77-7, which states that the deliberations of a select committee shall be confined to the matter referred to it by the House and any extension or limitation thereof made by the House. In summary, Stewart says a committee is a creature of the House and possesses no independent power to revise a decision that the full House has already sanctioned. Therefore, a new motion or order from the House is necessary to authorize such a review.
You're listening to Nationwide News at 5. More news after these.
You're listening to Nationwide 90 FM. The time is
5:16. Continuing the news, parents need to stop treating schools like a daycare. The criticism comes from the commanding officer of the St. Thomas Division of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, Deputy Superintendent of Police Rohan Ritchie. He was responding to news that a student of Seaforth High School died after being stabbed by a schoolmate. Dana Davey reports.
The incident took place near the Morant Bay Transport Center, St. Thomas, on Monday. It unfolded between 2:15 and 3 p.m. when a dispute that began on the school compound escalated. The deceased is 14-year-old Kayland Doyle of a Bath address in the parish. The police say 3 suspects, including the alleged attacker, have been taken into custody. They range in age from 13 to 17. Commanding officer for the St. Thomas Division, Deputy Superintendent Rohan Ritchie, says the tragic incident occurred in spite of a series of interventions by the school and the police over the past several months.
The school, to my knowledge, have done a series of intervention. Law enforcement have been doing a lot of work in terms of intervention in all the schools, and in particular St. Thomas, where we have a number of schools where we have to send school resource officers there to talk to the students and to maintain some level of discipline. We have also rolled out earlier this year a no-linger strategy, as in no waiting, no staying at the transport center. Officers are out there encouraging students to get on their buses, get on their taxis, and to get home. And that is done in the morning and it is done in the afternoon. We have a series of police youth club meetings with them, and the general intervention is strong.
The Seaforth stabbing followed a case of assault at Jamaica College in St. Andrew, in which a group of 6 boys ganged upon another student on the school compound. DSP Ritchie says the incidents are not isolated, as there are challenges in several other schools across the island. He believes the missing link in curbing wayward behavior among some teens is parental involvement.
Outside of the efforts of the school and law enforcement, we want to ask the question, where are the parents? I'm a parent myself and I have 2 children, and I don't send them to school to misbehave, and I don't send them to school armed. Equally, I understand supervision to be what your children does when you're not around. So it makes the question as to what is happening at some of the homes why the children, whenever they leave the precinct of their abode and they're on the thoroughfare, they become a problem where public order is concerned. As a country, we are going to have to look at what is happening with our young people.
DSP Ritchie stresses that rearing children must be the responsibility of parents, not the state.
The reporting has nothing to do with the good standing of that school, just that the students happen to attend that particular school. And we are having challenges in a number of other schools throughout there, and society must step up now. I mean, I think it is time parents stop sending their children to school and use the school as a daycare, to hold them there for a period of time until parents get off the hustling or get off work. It is high time that ceases. And it is not a situation where the police is going to grow people's children. They can't. Our effort is really surrounding public order and public safety. And of course, moral suasion, etc., etc. No government can grow people's children. Parents must step up.
Dana Davey for Nationwide News.
Commuters were left stranded in the vicinity of Price Right and the Chancery Avenue in St. Andrew on Tuesday as some taxi operators staged a protest against the police. The protest was sparked by a standoff between the police and the operators. The incident was captured in a video circulating on social media. The footage shows a group of lawmen attempting to arrest a taxi operator as a crowd looks on. The policemen are then seen pulling the operator towards a service vehicle. The situation escalates as the taximan resists the police efforts. The operator is then seen exchanging blows with a policeman in the group. 2 gunshots were then heard. Another policeman is then seen using pepper spray to disperse the growing crowd. President of the Transport Operators Development Sustainable Services, TODS Edgerton Newman, says 4 taxi operators were arrested during the incident.
A situation that we considered a very unfortunate one, where a particular officer has a verbal, physical confrontation with an operator who he alleged makes certain comments or certain remarks at him. End up where several operators were arrested, at least 4 was operated, 2 in the Price Right area, and the standoff at the police station, another 2 was arrested.
Edgerton Newman, president of TODS, he says a meeting was held with the police to release the men.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose Assembly and Supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
In Trinidad and Tobago, Police Commissioner Alistair Guevara says autopsy reports have revealed that the woman corporal killed on Sunday died from strangulation. In a news conference, Guevara revealed that Corporal Anushka Eversley was also beaten and stabbed. Eversley was found dead at the San Fernando Municipal Police Station. It's reported that 62 firearms and some 4,000 rounds of ammunition were also stolen from the armory. Up to Tuesday, 10 people were in police custody. Their ages range between 16 and 33 years. The police say 38 of the firearms were also recovered.
Iran has been hit by a massive wave of layoffs as a result of the conflict with the U.S. and Israel. The country's Deputy Work and Social Security Ministry says 2 million people had lost their jobs because of the war. The Iranian authorities' decision to impose an internet blackout since the start of the war has cost the economy more than $1 billion. To counter this, the government has announced a loan scheme for small businesses of over 400 million Iranian rials. However, the loan must be paid back in 6 months with an interest rate of up to 35% based on how many redundancies they make.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose Assembly and Supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, National Security Minister says government's crime-fighting measures resulted in 3,000 lives saved.
And Dr. Chang is urging groups to stop trying to dictate police policy.
The police force, my job is oversight and providing equipment. Society holds them accountable. They do policing, and we have an excellent commissioner of police. We know that.
Dennis Gordon rebuffs latest summons by Parliament's Ethics Committee.
And Parliament's Legislative Council recommends that the impasse be referred back to the House of Representatives.
I'm Roby Ann Williams.
And I'm Shalois Michael.
You can find the news on our website at revonews.ai and on the Revo News app. It's available on Google Play and the App Store. News next. The headlines at 6.
Tune in to Cliff Views Online Wednesday, April 22 from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. for the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce's second annual Anti-Illicit Trade Forum at the AC Marriott in Kingston under the theme Unmasking the Cost, the Financial Impact of Illicit Trade. The forum brings together key stakeholders to examine the economic losses, consumer risk, and threats to legitimate businesses caused by illicit goods. Stay tuned to the live coverage and find out how this growing issue is impacting Jamaica's economy and you. So tune in to Cliff Views Online Wednesday, April 22 from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's the second annual Anti-Illicit Trade Forum at the AC Marriott in Kingston. Catch this on our live stream at Nationwide 90 FM Live and keep your station locked to Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, the voice of business.
Every day, Jamaicans have something to say. In the group chats, on social media, in the streets, there's a place where it all comes together. The comment section. This is not a lecture. This is not a call-in show. This is the hottest topics of the day, filtered through real opinions, real WhatsApp messages, real voice notes, real reactions. You agree, disagree, sound off, text it, voice note it, debate it. Comments section, Monday to Friday from 7 to 7:30 p.m. only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. We start with news on cricket because the Barbados Pride, they're closing in on first innings points over the Jamaica Scorpions near close of play on day number 3 of their 4-day West Indies championship encounter being played at Sabina Park. The Pride, who started the day on 125 for 1, they're now 444 for 5, and that's 445 for 5 means they're 12 runs away from equaling the Scorpions' first innings total of 457. Lanika Boucher is not out on 2, and with him, Kyle Myers on 12. Craig Brathwaite, the captain, the last man out. In fact, he was dismissed just about 5 or 7 minutes ago for 176, and he shared in a 195-run third wicket partnership with the outstanding Kevin Wickham, who made 105. So the Pride at the moment dictating proceedings over at Sabina Park. Jonathan Drakes, he made 55, and Ruston Chase, he came out and made a quick fire 16. Pete Salmon has so far been the bowling success for the Scorpions. He's so far taken 4 wickets. The other has gone to Abhisham Singh. Meanwhile, the game between the Trinidad and Tobago Red Force and the Leeward Islands Hurricanes had been abandoned as a draw due to dangerous pitch conditions at the Antigua Recreation Ground in Antigua. That's the Sir Vivian Richards ground in Antigua. The decision was taken after Jeremiah Louis was taken to hospital for treatment after he was struck by a length ball from the Red Force seamer, the West Indian Jaden Seals. The Hurricanes were 140 for 7, batting a second time when the game was called off. Seals had taken all 7 wickets to fall at the time. And the Hurricanes assistant coach, Wendell Cornwall, says he was concerned about the pitch from the very first day on Sunday.
Well, obviously, thanks for having me, Denmo. From day one when I turn up to the venue, I really have my doubts about the condition and the nature of the pitch. And by no means, the result tell for itself here this morning. To me, it wasn't given, in my opinion, the preparation of how the wicket looked like. And hence, we see so many players get damaged, and look at Jeremiah Louis this morning. Even before that, the ball that Raheem Cornwall get this morning, that popped just in front of him.
And, of course, Cornwall says he's also hoping that the injury to Jeremiah Louis isn't as bad as it was initially.
Well, at the moment, I know he left for the hospital. He get a pretty much really nasty delivery, and he in the hospital at the moment. I just hope that everything goes well for him and no really serious damage. But it was really devastated to see exactly what take place this morning.
And we share in the concern of Wilden Cornwall. And the Guyana Harpy Eagles, they were winners. They beat the Windward Islands Volcanoes by an innings and 141 runs. That game at the Antigua Recreation Ground. The scores in the game, the Guyana Harpy Eagles 491, the Windward Islands Volcanoes 151 and 199. Costa Rica has been confirmed as Jamaica's quarterfinal opponents in the CONCACAF Women's World Cup qualifiers later this year. The two will clash on Friday, November 27, at the Texas Health Mansfield Stadium on America's West Coast, where the winner will go directly to the Women's World Cup, FIFA Women's World Cup finals in Brazil in 2027. The losers will remain in for a playoff to get a chance at another two spots that the region will get at the World Cup. Jamaica, who topped their group with maximum points, that's a Caribbean group, can also get to the Olympic Games in 2028 in Los Angeles automatically if they beat Costa Rica and the United States beat El Salvador, the team that, of course, is number 8 ranked in the CONCACAF. So if the U.S. win their game on the same night, November 27, that Jamaica will play Costa Rica, then both the U.S. and Jamaica will qualify automatically for the Olympic Games. And the goalkeeper, Rebecca Spencer, who plays club football at Chelsea in the Women's Super League in England, says she's happy to be one of those players in the squad trying to inspire the newer members.
Well, I know that I'm not speaking for myself, but that's the reason why I play. I've been playing for a number of years, and to have little girls there knowing that, they can see what's in front of them and they know that it's achievable, I think that's the most important thing. And we want to keep pushing it, and we want to keep driving and giving them a great pathway to step into when we're all done and when we're finished.
Rebecca Spencer, goalkeeper for the national senior women's football team. And finally, it was a mixed day for Jamaican internationals in English football on Tuesday. Leicester City, the club of Bobby De Cordova-Reid and the on-loan Dujon Richards, was relegated from England's second tier, the Championship, after playing out a 2-2 draw with promotion chasing Hull City. The result left the Foxes 7 points adrift safety, but there are only 2 games left in the season for them, so they can't get more than 6 points clearly. It's been a massive fall from grace for a team that famously won the Premier League 10 years ago. In the meantime, Ephron Mason-Clark, who debuted for Jamaica only 27 days ago, scored a double to lead Coventry City to an emphatic 5-1 win over Portsmouth, a result which ensures they win the championship title for this season. And we close out with a bit of news on the English Premier League, because Brighton and Hove Albion, they continue their push for a place in Europe next season with a telling 3-0 win over Chelsea in their Premier League game at the Amex Arena on Tuesday in their London derby. The 35-year-old evergreen Danny Welbeck came off the bench in the last 10 minutes to apply the gloss after a first-half goal from Ferdy Kadiglu, the Turkish international, and Jack Hinselwood had sent Brighton on its way.
Brighton with the first corner of the night. Poor defending and deflected it. Fadi Kalioglu will claim the goal. Getting close to being on the edge of the penalty area. Problems for Chelsea now. Rutter, it's Hinshelwood. It is true. Misery compounded.
So the Brighton winning that game. And just to give you an update on the score over there at Savannah Park, the Pride, they're now 448 for 5. So they need 9 runs to equal the Scorpions' 457 all out. And they've got about maybe 11 overs to do it for the rest of the day. Craig Brathwaite, the captain, he made 176, and Kevin Wickham made 105, the 2 star men for the Pride on today's third and final day. So they're closing in on the first innings, 448 for 5. And that will do it for sports at this time. We're going to be back, though. We will hopefully have the end of day play, final scores on the end of day number 3 with Alric Swibby in our final sportscast at 6:05.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
For all your custom framing, printing, graphic design, and purchase of art, Make It Frame Art Jamaica Limited, serving you for over 40 years. The time by Frame Art Jamaica is
5:33.
Upgrade your drive with Hyundai and Scotiabank. 4.99% interest, 0 fees, and 1-year insurance free. Choose from the Hyundai Venue, Palisade, Tucson, or Creta. Visit Kingston or Montego Bay showrooms. The temperature by Hyundai is
27 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital, Kingston. It's 28 in the western city, Montego Bay.
The Leadership Conference of Choice is back. Transform super managers into superior leaders at the Make Your Mark Middle Managers Leadership Conference, Jamaica Pegasus Hotel, and online, May 6 to 7. Sponsored by Caledonia Outdoor Advertising, Visual Tech Solutions, Intelligent Multimedia Limited, CIBC Caribbean Bank, and Visual Vibe. Register now for Middle Managers Conference, May 6 to 7 at makeyourmarkgroup.com.
Every day, Jamaicans have something to say. In the group chats, on social media, in the streets, there's a place where it all comes together. The comment section. This is not a lecture. This is not a call-in show. This is the hottest topics of the day, filtered through real opinions, real WhatsApp messages, real voice notes, real reactions. You agree, disagree, sound off, text it, voice note it, debate it. Comments section, Monday to Friday from 7 to 7:30 p.m. only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media.
Good afternoon. Thank you so very much for sticking and staying with us right here inside Must Listen Radio. It's a Nationwide at 5. I'm Tyrone Reed. Well, we're inside the cover story on this Tuesday, and we want to talk matters concerning violence in schools. Yeah, we've been seeing a couple of incidents. There is that issue regarding Jamaica College that has been making the rounds on social media and, of course, traditional media as well. And then there's this stabbing death at Seaforth High School. Now, in reaction to this, senior police personnel is saying parents need to stop treating schools like daycares. The criticism is coming from the commanding officer for the St. Thomas Police Division, DSP Rohan Ritchie. He was responding to the news that a student of Seaforth High School died after being stabbed by a schoolmate. The deceased is 14-year-old Kayland Doyle of a Bath address in the parish. Now, according to preliminary reports, listeners, viewers, from the police indicate that the alleged attacker purchased a knife from an establishment shortly before the confrontation. The student then reportedly used the knife to inflict injuries on the victim. The injured student was pronounced dead at the Princess Margaret Hospital. DSP Ritchie says the tragic incident occurred in spite of a series of interventions by the school and the police over the past several months.
The school, to my knowledge, have done a series of intervention. Law enforcement have been doing a lot of work in terms of intervention in all the schools, and in particular St. Thomas, where we have a number of schools where we have to send school resource officers there to talk to the students and to maintain some level of discipline. We have also rolled out earlier this year a no linger strategy, as in no waiting, no staying at the transport center. Officers are out there encouraging students to get on their buses, get on their taxis, and to get home. And that is done in the morning and it is done in the afternoon. We have a series of police youth club meetings with them, and the general intervention is strong.
The voice there of DSP Ritchie, Rohan Ritchie, that is commanding officer for the St. Thomas Police Division. The Seaforth stabbing followed a case of assault at Jamaica College in St. Andrew, in which a group of 6 boys ganged up on another student on the school compound. DSP Ritchie says the incidents are not isolated as there are challenges in several other schools across the country. He believes the missing link in curbing wayward behavior among some teens is parental involvement. And of course, many of you watching and listening may share that view as well. The DSP stresses that rearing children must be the responsibility of parents, not the state. Joining us to discuss this tragic incident and, of course, the broader implications are Director of Regional Educational Services for Region 2 in the Ministry of Education, Youth, Skills and Information, Yashika Blackwood-Grant, and, of course, the Director of the Safety and Security Unit in the Ministry of Education, Richard Troop, will join us after the 5:45 break. But Yashika Blackwood-Grant, thank you so much. Top of the afternoon to you. Welcome to Nationwide at 5.
Good evening. Well, good afternoon. It's very good to be here and to share on this matter, although under sad circumstances, it is good to share in the conversation.
Absolutely sad circumstances. You heard the comment there from the senior policeman in charge of the police division of St. Thomas. He's saying, look, a lack of parental involvement is what is perhaps one of the root causes of what we're seeing. Are we facing a crisis of parenting or the lack thereof in this country? Is that a reasonable position to take? Is the ministry seeing that?
Well, in this particular case that we're treating with concerning Seaforth High School, that may be one of the components to be considered, because my conversations with the school today revealed that this particular conflict situation originated outside of the school. It actually originated in the community, and the parents of the students were aware. My investigations have also shown that the school was proactive in seeking to intervene, so much so that the students in question were placed on separate shifts. The school is a shift school and they were placed on separate shifts. The guidance counseling department has been giving support, but unfortunately yesterday just did not play out very well. So yes, there is a role for parents to play, because at this point in time when this incident happened, the students were outside of the school compound. And so the control that the school administration could have over the situation was very limited based on where it occurred at that time. So yes, there is a role for parents to play, and I would want to say to parents, if you know that your child is involved in any kind of conflict outside of school, in the home, in the community, it is a good idea to reach out to the school, to have that conversation. We have our guidance counselors at the schools that will seek to do what they can. The ministry also has a team of educational social workers who assist with our work in the community. And there are a number of state agencies that also collaborate with us. So if the situation exceeds your ability to cope with it, reaching out to the school is always a good idea.
Yashika Blackwood-Grant, could you just remind our listeners the parishes covered by Region 2?
Yes, Region 2 covers St. Thomas, Portland, and St. Mary.
St. Thomas, Portland, and St. Mary, eastern parishes. Now, is there in the because the ministry is seeing the data, you have a panoramic view of what is happening when you look at the data. Is the ministry seeing an uptick in violent incidents in schools? And if yes, does the ministry think that this is a cause for concern? Is it time to ring the alarm and up the measures that we are implementing to address this? Are you noticing an uptick, first of all?
In Region 2, where I currently work, I would not say I'm noticing an uptick, because we do not have incidents of this nature very regularly. In fact, this is the very first fatal case that I'm treating with among students. We've had incidents we've lost students, but never under these kinds of circumstances, not in recent times. And so I would not consider it an uptick. But I do believe that one incident of this nature is one too many. And so we have already begun to look at it as a region to see what exists in the system, because a lot does exist that we can use to address some of these situations. Our immediate approach at this time has been trauma support for the school. So we had our team rolled out today to work with the classes, to work with the students and the teachers, helping them to just make sense of the situation and to look at how they will move forward with resilience. However, as we settle down this initial part of the response, we have to go back to the drawing board with our school leaders, not only at C4s, but as I said, one case is a case too many. And so we are already thinking about, for our next round of meetings with our principals, to sit and revisit some of the existing programs. I'll speak of the Health and Family Life Education curriculum, which teaches life skills, including conflict resolution, including decision making, which are critical skills that can help our students to treat with conflict situations, which are inevitable, in a more effective way rather than resorting to violence. These documents exist, teachers are there for it, but sometimes we just need to look at what are we doing? Are we doing it most effectively? Can we revisit our methodology? What can we do to ensure that we're a little bit more effective? So that's one of our immediate plans for the region. We also want to look at referrals. We have the Integrated Services Delivery Initiative, which affords us some funding to do external referrals. And we want our schools to make use of this. In Region 2, perhaps because we've not had that many incidents, or incidence is not as high as other places, we've not been having the number of referrals that we can accommodate based on our budget. So we also want to resensitize our school leaders to these opportunities so that when things exceed their capacity to manage, they will make use of these different provisions that we have so that we can prevent these issues from escalating. So yes, we're looking at that as well.
Listeners, viewers, you're hearing the voice of Yashika Blackwood Grant. She's the Director of Regional Educational Services for Region 2 in the Ministry of Education. There are a couple of points I want us to drill down on that you've raised, Ms. Grant, and we'll do that when we come back from this break. We'll also be joined by Richard Troop, the Director of Safety and Security in the Ministry of Education. Soon come.
Visit Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore, for all your prescription needs, gifts, personal care, household, and stationery items. The temperature by Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore is
28 degrees Celsius in capital city Kingston and 29 out west in the tourism mecca of Montego Bay.
Ready to upgrade your drive? Hyundai and Scotiabank are making it easier for you. Right now, you can drive away in a brand new Hyundai with an interest rate as low as 4.99%. Low interest rate, zero processing fees, and 1 year free insurance with Scotia Protect. Whether it's the compact Hyundai Venue, the bold Palisade, the stylish Tucson, or the dynamic Creta, Hyundai has the perfect vehicle waiting for you. So visit our showrooms at 7 Oxford Road, Kingston, or Providence Drive, Montego Bay, and get behind the wheel of a brand new Hyundai. Hyundai Jamaica. Because of you, conditions apply.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies including plugs, switches, panel boards, and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
Welcome back. Thank you so very much for sticking and staying with us. Of course, forming the basis of our discussions today is a very tragic incident. A student of Seaforth High School died after being stabbed by a schoolmate. The deceased was just 14 years old. His name is Kayland Doyle of a Bath address in the parish of St. Thomas. We have with us the director Regional Educational Services for Region 2 in the Education Ministry. That's Ashika Blackwood Grant. And we're now being joined by the Director of the Safety and Security Unit in the Education Ministry, Richard Troop. No stranger to us here on Nationwide at 5. Welcome. Top of the afternoon to you, Mr. Troop.
Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon, Yashika. Good afternoon to your listeners.
Before I bring you in, Mr. Troop, there are just a couple of things I want us to interrogate that you placed on the table, Ms. Grant. Firstly, you did say this is the first fatal incident, student-on-student fatal incident that you are dealing with. How long have you been director of the region?
Just a little over 4 years.
So it's the first one in 4 years since you've been heading up the portfolio.
Yes.
All right. And then you also revealed to us that there were efforts made to keep these students apart. And you did say that the students were placed on separate shifts in order to keep them apart because there was a feud between the two students involved.
Yes, that is what the school has reported.
All right. Do you know if in addition to separating them, whether or not the school called in the police to address the two young men?
I cannot speak to whether or not the police were called in. That was not shared with me today. But I know the guidance counselors at the school were actively managing that case and treating with both young men.
They were actively managing the case, but
Yes.
clearly the feud was not quelled.
Well, as it ended yesterday, we can conclude that it wasn't.
So, in hindsight, is there anything that we could have done differently?
When we sit with the guidance counselors after this initial period, we certainly will do that debriefing. But at this point in time, I must say conflicts that originate in the community are a little more difficult to manage because they are deep. They don't just involve the students. They sometimes involve external parties who may not, the school has no jurisdiction over, and so it may be a challenge to reach them. In this particular case, though, when I spoke with the guidance counselor who is managing the case today, he has been in contact even with the parents, and he even since the incident. So I know the school has made efforts, but in terms of seeing whether we could have done some things differently, when we sit with them after we get through this initial brief period, we will look at that.
So you're saying the conflict between these two boys it doesn't originate on the campus. You're saying it's stemming from something that is happening in the community that they're from.
The nature of which I'm not very clear on. However, we are clear that it came from the community.
And in terms of a protocol, since it's not something that resides with the school, it's community based. In hindsight, I'm suggesting to you that isn't that a case that perhaps the police should have been called in to talk with these two young men to try to quell whatever situation was happening in the community, to do some further investigations there?
That may have been an option. The truth is, as I've discussed with the school today, as far as I was able to unearth, they indicated that there were never any incidences of violence between the students. There was teasing and stuff like that, but not anything that they could have ever imagined would have escalated to this level. So while they were concerned about it, they were not anticipating that it would have been at this level, and perhaps that's why they would not have taken it further. But as I mentioned, we are going to look deeply at this because we want to learn from it, not just for the benefit of Seaforth High School, but we want to prevent these incidents as best as we possibly can, across our region. So we'll be looking at it with them.
What I'm trying to reconcile, though, Mrs. Grant, is we clearly nobody foresaw what was coming, right? At this tragic end to this. But there was sufficient concern to place them on separate shifts. So what exactly would have informed that concern is what I'm trying to get at. What were you told by the school that this is the reason we placed them on separate shifts?
As I mentioned, they indicated that there was some amount of teasing that was happening, and it was like stories were being shared and so on. So they thought it best to separate them. But I did not get any additional details. But we will drill down on it, certainly.
Richard Troop, the stabbing death of this student happened despite what the head of the St. Thomas Police Division described as a series of interventions over the past several months. What can we do differently? Is the message of peaceful conflict resolution taking hold among the nation's students?
I think it is. Part of the reality is that this is not something that we're going to resolve overnight. For decades, we have been struggling with the issue of conflict resolution of violence and violence at every level of the system, not just in schools. And so it is going to take a time. It is also going to take collaborative efforts. I want to thank the Jamaica Constabulary Force for all that it has been doing in partnership with our schools, school resource officers, the police youth club in school, police as a mentorship program, significant activities. In hindsight, and I think it's an opportunity now to put this on the table in a deliberate way. The landscape is changing. I'm saying this to our educators. The landscape is changing. We have new opportunities for partnership. For example, the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs have the restorative practice sensitization program that is helping children to look at conflict resolution differently. We need to use more of that. They also have where they use the circles with the parties in concern and other persons who are a part of that ecosystem. Perhaps, we need as a ministry to be using more of that. These are trained professionals who are committed to provide this level of support. Perhaps it's time that we say when we are faced with these kinds of situations, especially when it also concerns persons outside of the school, families, deep-seated issues, ongoing conflict, that perhaps we need to also refer more of these kind of cases. Even today, ACP Shan was speaking to me, and she is a little bit disappointed that we're not using, parents and our schools are not using more of the child diversion program to support our children, because, these are teachable moments for the persons involved and for parents and students and the education system, and we have to just redouble our effort. This is not to say that the school has not been doing extremely well to manage conflict situations, but this thing happened off campus, and I know that in recent times,
which would have made it a little difficult for the school to police. Which is why I'm wondering why the police wasn't called in, Mr. Troop. That is really why I'm asking that question, because if it's happening in the community, the school gets wind of it, separates the boys, puts them on separate shifts. Why wasn't the police contacted to say, look, we've gotten wind of this information, we've done what we can here by separating them, placing them on separate shifts. Perhaps you need to check in the communities to find out what is what.
Yes, I agree with you. I think it's a course of action that could have been explored, should have been explored, and I'm saying no for all of us listening to your program, that in the future, these are possible course of action to consider. The solution does not lie exclusively with the stakeholders within our schools. There is opportunity for deepening our partnership, building strategic partnership, making use of resources external to the education ministry to provide support to our nation's children. We say it all the time. It takes a village to raise a child. And the participants in this village is not just within school. The wider community also needs to be considered.
And of course, there are lots of concerns about the failure of parenting playing a major role in some of these issues. I'd love to get you on that. But before I do, Richard Troop, based on our reportage, and I want to read the exact line as we reported it. We reported that preliminary reports from the police indicate that the alleged attacker purchased a knife from an establishment shortly before the confrontation. So this student purchased a knife from an establishment. Do you know, Richard Troop, because I know the Safety and Security Unit works closely with the police. Do you know if this is a line of inquiry that is being pursued by the police? Which establishment sold a minor a knife?
Absolutely. It is an issue that is being given high priority by the Jamaica Constabulary Force. Look here. Something is seriously wrong with an establishment, if it is a fact, selling to a child in uniform a ratchet knife. I do not know what would have been the disposition of that child if it is a child who would have purchased that particular weapon, because also he is an adult. But something would have been wrong if a child in uniform could have gone to an establishment and asked for a ratchet knife and it would have been sold to him. Something is wrong with that. And that's why I'm saying, the violence we're seeing requires all and on deck, and we have to hold ourselves accountable. A lot of what is being displayed is lived experiences of our children. These are children also who have been going through traumatic situations unresolved, sometimes because they don't come to us as a ministry. But we're saying that it is requiring all of us to be very much a part of the solution, including our parents.
I'm almost out of time. Are we facing a crisis of parenting in this country, Richard Troop?
Crisis. I would want to believe that our parents are an important stakeholder in the progress that we can continue to make in impacting our students and children's life positively. I think we are not necessarily there where we have the full support of. But
so you don't want to call it a crisis. You don't want to call it a crisis just yet.
I'm saying parents too are struggling, and they are also a victim of their own circumstances.
We have to leave it there. I'm out of time, Richard Troop. I have to leave it there. But thanks to you, Richard Troop, the Director of the Safety and Security Unit in the Ministry of Education, and his colleague, the Director of Regional Education Services for Region 2, Yashika Blackwood Grant. Thanks to both of you. This has been the cover story. The headlines are next.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is...
6:01.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening. With the headlines at 6, I'm Norige Banton. Minister of National Security Dr. Horace Chang says 3,000 lives have been saved to date through the continued support and investment in the country's security forces. Dr. Chang opened the sectoral debate in the House of Representatives on Tuesday, outlining the Holness administration's achievements in fighting crime. Dr. Horace Chang credits the Holness administration with reversing the country's trajectory on crime.
Prior to the year of Andrew Holness-led administration took office in 2016, Jamaica was on an upward trajectory of escalating gang activity and violent crime. These trends continued in 2017 into 2017, when the country recorded one of the highest homicide rates, 60 per 100,000, with 1,647 murders. This level of violence far exceeds the capacity of the normal policing activity in the country. But then, under the leadership of Dr. Andrew Holness, we made a decision. We made a sober decision. We decided that Jamaica would not surrender to criminality. We made it clear that gangs would not operate freely or comfortable in this country, and that crime would carry consequences, swift and certain consequences.
In the opening sectoral debate, Dr. Chang told members of Parliament that to date the country's murder rate has been drastically reduced and thousands of lives have been saved.
We give God thanks for our successes, but it was hard work, good policy to start with, good planning, hard work and investment in our security forces. But let me go a little further. It was suggested that since 2017, we have saved 3,000 lives by the work of government. This represents an average of 374 Jamaicans who are still alive today to look to our future. Shooting and other violent crimes all decline. We express gratitude not only to our security forces, but to our international partners. Without investments and the action and planning of our government, Jamaica would have continued a trajectory that would have made us one of the most unsafe places in the world. Today, people are beginning to have confidence in the street again.
Meanwhile, the Minister of National Security has urged certain groups to stop trying to dictate police policy. Speaking to the issue of body-worn cameras, Dr. Chang insisted only Police Commissioner Dr. Kevin Blake has any authority to direct the rank and file in such a matter.
We have acquired body-worn cameras and they have been deployed, but deployment is decided by the Commissioner of Police. Body-worn cameras are part of modern police equipment, and the only person who has the authority and the professional capacity to instruct where they should go is the Commissioner of Police as a team. No civil society organization can tell us where to put them. That was what was damaging the police for years. Everybody like cowboy policing and donmanship and then tell police how to go police. Cameras are good for transparency and accountability, and we will continue to acquire. We have another 1,000 order, and the police will provide the equipment. Well, let me make it plain. The police force, my job is oversight and providing equipment. Society holds them accountable. They do policing, and we have an excellent Commissioner of Police. We know about it.
Dr. Horace Chang, Minister of National Security. Member of Parliament for East Central St. Andrew, the PNP's Dennis Gordon, has refused a summons to reappear before Parliament's Ethics Committee, citing a lack of jurisdiction. The committee had called Gordon to clarify statements he had before the body in response to revelations about his company, Jack Den Limited, and the University Hospital of the West Indies. The matter has now been referred to the House of Representatives. Opposition members were not in attendance at last Wednesday's sitting of Parliament's Ethics Committee, where it was decided that the committee would recall Dennis Gordon to clarify matters pertaining to his exemption to pursue state contracts. Government members who were in attendance expressed concern that information he previously provided to the committee about the exemption was inaccurate based on what is now in the public domain. But Gordon has rejected the summons. Chairperson Marlene Malahoo Fort read his refusal into the record at Tuesday's meeting of the committee.
Good day. Be advised that I will not attend any such sitting. This is overreaching the committee's mandate. It has no jurisdiction or authority to summon me without an express referral from the full Parliament.
Malahoo Fort called the stance taken by Gordon improper.
This committee will have to consider, in addition to all of the other issues that may arise out of this single matter, whether it is ethical and appropriate for a member to refuse to attend before the committee to provide clarification. Because there are rules which protect anyone providing responses to any committee. And just to say that that response, which was read from the member, does not sit well with me as chair of this committee or as a member of the House. And this is not about witch hunting anyone. It's not about pointing finger at anyone. It's not about trying to. It just does not sit well with me.
But opposition committee member Anthony Hilton defended Gordon's decision. According to Hilton, there are jurisdictional issues with the summons. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Nora Gay Banton. Sports is next.
This station raised me. It gave me a voice. And if Nationwide has ever meant something to you, come on in. Join the Nationwide 90 FM Family Club today on Patreon.
Jamaican high school and college athletes will take on the best of the USA at the Penn Relays April 23, 24, and 25. A live coverage is on Nationwide Radio, brought to you by the Sports Development Foundation, developing a nation through sports. The Universal Service Fund, connecting you to more. That's live coverage of the pen relays on this station April 23, 24, and 25. Don't miss it.
How certain are you that you're taking proper care of your pets? How often do you take them to the vet? Just as we need annual checkups with our doctors, most pets need regular checkups too. Owning and caring for a family pet doesn't have to be a difficult or burdensome experience. Nationwide 90 FM has an exciting feature called Pets World that will help you take better care of your pets. Join Nationwide 90 FM every Wednesday at 6:50 a.m. during the program This Morning as we take you into the do's and don'ts of caring for your pets. That's Pets World every Wednesday at 6:50 a.m. during the program This Morning on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Good evening with your sports report. I'm Alric Swaby. We bowl things off with some cricket as Barbados Pride secured first in its honours over Jamaica Scorpions at the close of Day 3 of their West Indies Championship game at Savannah Park. The Pride, who started the day 125 for 1, are now 460 for 5 with a 3-run lead over the Scorpions, 457 all out. Lanika Boucher is not out 12 and Kyle Myers 16. Captain Craig Brathwaite was the last man out for a well-played 176, and he shared in a 195-run third wicket stand with Kevin Wickham, who made 105. Jonathan Jakes made 55 and Ruston Chase 16. Pete Saman has so far taken 4 of the wickets to fall, with the other going to Abhijayman Singh. Meanwhile, the game between Trinidad and Tobago Red Force and the Leeward Highlands Hurricanes has been abandoned as a draw due to dangerous pitch conditions at the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium. The decision was taken after Jermaine Lewis was taken to the hospital for treatment after he was struck by a length ball from Red Force seamer Jaden Seals. The Hurricanes were 140 for 7 batting a second time when the game was called off, with Seals taking all 7 wickets. Hurricanes assistant coach Wilden Cornwall says he was concerned about the pitch from Sunday's opening day.
From day one when I turn up to the venue, I really have my doubts about the condition and the nature of the pitch. And by no means the result tell for itself here this morning. To me, it wasn't given, in my opinion, the preparation of for the wicket looked like. And hence, we see so many players get damaged, and look at Jeremiah Louis this morning. Even before that, the ball that Raheem Cornwall get this morning, that popped just in front of him.
Cornwall says he's hopeful that Lewis' injuries isn't as serious as it initially looked.
Well, at the moment, I know he left for the hospital. He get a pretty really nasty delivery, and he in the hospital at the moment. I just hope that everything goes well for him and no really serious damage. But it was really devastated to see exactly what take place this morning.
And Guyana Harpy Eagles beat Windward Islands Volcanoes by an innings and 141 runs in their match at the Antigua Recreation Ground. Final scores: Guyana Harpy Eagles were 491, Windward Islands Volcanoes 151 and 199. Now to football, as Costa Rica has been confirmed as Jamaica's quarter-final opponents in the CONCACAF Women's World Cup qualifiers later this year. The two will clash on Friday, November 27 at the Texas Health Mansfield Stadium on America's West Coast, where the winners will gain automatic qualification to the FIFA World Cup Finals in Brazil next year. The losers will enter a playoff to remain in with a chance at 2 additional spots. Jamaica, who topped their Caribbean group with maximum points, can also gain automatic qualification to the 2028 Olympic Games in Los Angeles if they beat Costa Rica and the United States defeat El Salvador in their quarterfinal, which will be played on the same night. Goalkeeper Rebecca Spencer, who plays for Chelsea in the Women's Super League in England, says she's happy to be one of the players in the squad inspiring the younger members.
Well, I know that I'm not speaking for myself, but that's the reason why I play. I've been playing for a number of years, and to have little girls there knowing that, you know, they can see what's in front of them and they know that it's achievable, I think that's the most important thing. And we want to keep pushing it, and we want to keep driving and giving them a great pathway to step into when we're all done and when we're finished.
Rebecca Spencer. Now 2 games are on in the Rare Never Jamaica Premier League on Wednesday. Leaders Montego Bay United will be at home to 10th place Tivoli Gardens at Jarrett Park, while 5th place Racing United welcome the visit of Mullines United, who are 11th in the standings. Both games are set to kick off at 3:30 p.m. Now, it was a mixed day for Jamaican internationals in English football on Tuesday. Leicester City, the club of Bobby D. Cordova-Reid and on loan Dujon Richards, was relegated from England's second tier, the Championship, after playing out a 2-2 draw with a promotion-chasing Hull City. The result left the Foxes 7 points adrift but there's only 2 games left in their season. It's been a massive fall from grace for a team that famously won the Premier League 10 years ago. Meanwhile, Ephraim Mason-Clark, who debuted for Jamaica only 27 days ago, scored a double to lead Coventry City to an emphatic 5-1 win over Portsmouth, a result which secures the championship title for this season. Meanwhile, Brighton and Hove Albion continue their push for a place in Europe next season with a telling 3-0 win over Chelsea in their Premier League London derby at the Amex Arena on Tuesday. 35-year-old Donny Welbeck came off the bench in the last 10 minutes to apply the gloss after first-half goals from Ferdy Kaduloglu and Jack Henselwood had sent Brighton on their way.
Brighton with the first corner of the night. Poor defending and deflected in. Ferdy Kaduloglu will claim the goal. Getting close to being on the edge of the penalty area. Problems for Chelsea now. Rutter, it's Hinshelwood. It is true. Misery compounded.
The defeat means for the first time since 1912, Chelsea was losing 5 games in a row and without scoring a goal on that run. Now, French international Kylian Mbappe and Brazilian star Vinicius Jr. scored either side of half-time as Real Madrid cut Barcelona's lead at the top of La Liga to 6 points with a 2-1 win over relegation-threatened Alaves. Madrid, played for the first time since being knocked out of the Champions League quarter-finals by Bayern Munich, ended a run of 2 league games without a win. But Barca have the chance to reinstate their 9-point lead on Wednesday evening when they host Celta Vigo with just 6 games to go. Real are on course for only their 5th trophyless season this century. Now to jump track and field, as 8-time Olympic gold medalist Usain Bolt explained that he's willing to assist the sport of track and field in any way necessary as it lacks excitement. Bolt, who retired from the sport in 2017, added that track and field continues to be a huge part of his life.
It needs a little bit of revamp. It needs a little bit more excitement, and I think it's going to need change because people watch for excitement, and I think the sport needs to figure out a way to get people engaged in track and field. The team aspect of it, now people are looking at points, who's doing better, you can cheer for your best team and stuff like that. So we need to figure out a way to really evolve track and field.
Bolt, during the peak of his career, was known for his rivalry with America's Tyson Gay, Justin Gatlin, and teammate Johan Blake. For Bolt, he's heard reports on numerous occasions that since his departure from the sport, there's been a lull in competitive rivalry.
I'm not the only one saying it. People always ask me, you're saying track and field's going down. Even when I go now, people are saying, oh, I don't watch it because you left. I don't watch it. And it's missing that excitement and that vibes and the different things. It's not always about time, but it's about the competition and about just the energy that it brings, you know what I mean? And that's not there anymore. So that's why I'm always excited to see athletes who have a personality in the sport, because that helps the sport to make people want to watch.
Usain Bolt. Now to some bodybuilding, as Kevon Thomas is bracing for a tough test when he steps onto the stage at the Jamaica Bodybuilding and Fitness Association Novice and Junior Championships set for Saturday at the Courtly Auditorium. Thomas, a firefighter by profession, will compete in the men's physique category and is fully aware of the level of competition he's likely to face. Despite the challenge ahead, he remains focused on delivering an improved performance. The dedicated athlete is coming off a third-place finish in his last outing, a result he views as both encouraging and motivating.
I entered nationals, but the placing that I got
wasn't the placement I wanted. So I put in a lot more training, listened to my coach, did some more hard training in terms of trying to bring up my physique to where I think it is more capable of getting a better placing. So I'm planning to do all the shows this year, which is the novice show, the national, and I see if I'm capable of doing an international show to get my pro card.
Kevon Thomas, I'm Alric Swaby, and that's your sports.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies including plugs, switches, panel boards and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10 or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales for a better choice in the electrical business.
Morning after morning, you've made Nationwide 90 FM part of your routine. So let's take this connection one step closer. Join the Nationwide 90 FM Family Club and be part of it officially on Patreon. Family. Tune in to Cliff Views Online Wednesday, April 22 from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. for the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce's second annual Anti-Illicit Trade Forum at the AC Marriott in Kingston under the theme Unmasking the Cost, the Financial Impact of Illicit Trade. The forum brings together key stakeholders to examine the economic losses, consumer risk, and threats to legitimate businesses caused by illicit goods. Stay tuned to the live coverage and find out how this growing issue is impacting Jamaica's economy and you. So tune in to Cliff Views Online Wednesday, April 22 from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's the second annual Anti-Illicit Trade Forum at the AC Marriott in Kingston. Catch this on our live stream at Nationwide 90 FM Live and keep your station locked to Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, the voice of business.
Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton. Weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Turn up the heat with Hot Listing, Nationwide 90 FM's new on-air and online classifieds feature. If you have a car for sale, room for rent, or yard sale come up. If you look at work or need stuff. If you provide a service, make it a Hot Listing, Nationwide 90 FM's new on-air and online classified segment. Your listing plays again and again. From morning till evening. You sing it, we play it. You say it once, Jamaica hears it all day, every hour. Contact our sales team now at 876-630-1210 or sales at nationwidenewsnetwork.com. Hot Listings on Nationwide 90 FM, a new revolution in media.
It's Monday, get over your blues. Or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The E-Zone is here for you. With the Stinger Honey Bee
and Curry Boyatings
from 3 to 5 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM.
We've got your entertainment news.
Then we want to hear your views. What you say?
Jump in the mix.
Or the hot seat.
Don't miss our brain busters.
Or the crazy giveaways.
Let's talk fashion.
Send us your outfit of the day. Ooh, cutesy. Very demure.
Are you looking for love?
Come on one of our blind dates. Send your request to ezone blinddates@gmail.com. That's ezoneblinddates@gmail.com.
And stay tuned for your confessions.
These are my confessions. Share them with us at ezoneconfessions@yahoo.com. I mean, is this planet Earth?
Is it?
I don't know. Let me check. Either way, it's got a buzz.
And a bugger thing.
Ow! Ow!
Every day, Jamaicans have something to say. In the group chats, on social media, in the streets, there's a place where it all comes together. The comment section. This This is not a lecture. This is not a call-in show. This is the hottest topics of the day, filtered through real opinions, real WhatsApp messages, real voice notes, real reactions. You agree, disagree, sound off, text it, voice note it, debate it. Comments section, Monday to Friday from 7 to 7:30 p.m. only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media.
Good afternoon. Thank you so very much. Good evening, rather. Thank you so very much for sticking and staying with us right here inside Nationwide at 5. Of course, we're inside the nation's business. And inside the nation's business, we'll be playing for you excerpts, excerpts from the Ethics Committee of Parliament. Now, the Member of Parliament for East Central St. Andrew, that's the PNP's Dennis Gordon, has refused the summons to reappear before Parliament's Ethics Committee, citing, as he describes it, a lack of jurisdiction. The committee had called Gordon to clarify statements he had made before the body in response to revelations about his company, Jack Den Limited, and the University Hospital of the West Indies, the UHWI. Now, Parliament's Ethics Committee decided to recall Dennis Gordon at its last sitting on Wednesday. Opposition committee members did not attend that sitting, but government members in attendance expressed concern that information he may have provided to the committee in seeking an exemption to pursue state contracts is inaccurate. This is based on what is now in the public domain. But Gordon has rejected the summons from the Ethics Committee. Chairperson of the committee, Marley Malahoo Fort, read his refusal into the record at today's sitting of the committee.
On the last occasion, the committee directed that the member from St. Andrew East Central be asked back before the committee to provide some clarification. It is indicated on page 4 of the minutes, which says that the committee recommended that it report to the House that the accuracy of information provided to the committee by one member has been called into question in light of information subsequently made public. The committee further recommended that it deliberate on whether this has any impact on the decision taken by the House to grant an exemption to the member. The committee also recommended that it hear from the member directly and, in accordance with the standing orders, require the member to appear at its next sitting to provide clarification. Now, Member Hilton, in response to my opening comments, you rightly pointed out the importance of procedural fairness. And it was in keeping with that need for procedural fairness why the recommendation was made to invite back the member to provide some clarification before any recommendation is made on the matter. Might I ask the committee clerk to just inform the committee on that communication between the committee and the member? So I think the committee was informed that a letter was sent to the member, and it was date of the letter. All right, while we await the details, a letter was sent to the member, and I'm informed that the member has indicated that he will not appear before the committee. Yes? Yes. I believe that is most unfortunate, and I would like to hear from members. April 15, letter was sent to the member on April 15, and his response came on even date. So the letter that was sent to the member indicated that the Ethics Committee of Parliament convened a meeting on April 8, 2026, at which it considered matters relating to clarification regarding the response provided in relation to the exemption motion brought on behalf of the Member of Parliament for St Andrew East Central, together with information that has entered the public domain subsequent to the disclosure of interests provided to the committee at its meeting held on February 4, 2026. In light of this development, questions have arisen as to the accuracy of information previously provided by the committee. Consequently, the committee requests your presence at its next meeting, scheduled for Tuesday, April 21, 2026 at 10 a.m. to provide clarification on the information previously submitted. Should you have any queries or require further clarification, contact could be made with the committee clerk. The response came on even date. Good day. Be advised that I will not attend any such sitting. This is overreaching the committee's mandate. It has no jurisdiction or authority to summon me without an express referral from the full Parliament.
Interesting developments there, listeners. So if you're following this, or if you have not been following it, the Ethics Committee has asked for Dennis Gordon, the embattled Dennis Gordon, to appear before it to clarify some statements he would have made before the Ethics Committee in pursuit of an exemption to pursue certain state contracts. And they're saying, look, in light of what is now in the public domain, we need to get some clarity from the member. And the member is saying, look, you can't summon me. This is outside of your scope, is basically what he's telling the Ethics Committee. It's an interesting development, and one that we definitely need to watch. It's an important development. Now, Mrs. Malahoo Fort called the stance taken by the Member of Parliament, Dennis Gordon. She considers it to be improper, she says.
The ethical issue is not so much about what is happening in accounts, but is in relation to the truthfulness of answers provided to the committee, which then grounded the recommendation of the committee to the House. So, again, it requires sensitivity, it requires fairness, it requires some reflection. This committee will have to consider, in addition to all of the other issues that may arise out of this single matter, whether it is ethical and appropriate for a member to refuse to attend before the committee to provide clarification. Because there are rules which protect anyone providing responses to any committee. And just to say that that response, which was read from the member, does not sit well with me as chair of this committee or as a member of the House. And this is not about witch hunting anyone. It's not about pointing finger at anyone. It's not about trying to. It just does not sit well with me.
The voice there of Marley Malahoo Fort. She's the chairperson of Parliament's Ethics Committee. The chairperson saying, look, this is not a witch hunt. But then there are those who might say, when was the last time the Ethics Committee met and it wasn't in camera? There are people who might be asking that question, Chairman Malahoo Fort. Yeah, we're playing excerpts from the sitting of Parliament's Ethics Committee regarding the embattled Dennis Gordon and his refusal to appear before the Ethics Committee. Interesting developments here in the nation's Parliament. We take the break right here and come back with more.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:32.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies, including plugs, switches, panel boards, and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
Welcome back. Thank you so very much for sticking and staying with us right here inside Nationwide at 5. We're inside the nation's business, and of course, we're playing you excerpts from the latest meeting of Parliament's Ethics Committee, and of course, that sitting was today. Previously, I gather it sat last Wednesday, in which a decision was taken to summon the Member of Parliament, the embattled Member of Parliament for East Central St. Andrew, the PMP's Dennis Gordon, to reappear before the committee. But the MP has declined flatly, saying, look, they lack jurisdiction. They can't summon him, is what he's saying. But the Ethics Committee says it needs to probe, and understandably so, it needs to probe some statements provided by Mr. Gordon in relation to justifying, I would suppose, his exemption to pursue state contracts. Yes, so the government members are expressing concern that the information he provided to the committee in seeking an exemption to pursue state contracts is in fact inaccurate, is what they're saying now, based on what is now in the public domain. So we heard Marley Malahoo Ford saying, look, this doesn't sit with her as chairman, that a member is declining to reappear before the committee at the request of the committee. But the opposition committee member, an opposition committee member, that's MP for West St. Andrew, Anthony Hilton, defended Gordon's decision. According to Hilton, there are jurisdictional issues with the summons, he says.
Madam Chair, I think the issue is a bit more stark than you have presented it just now, because the member, a request was made, a summon, in other words, sent to the member. The member, no doubt having reflected on all of the matters related to this that are not only confined to this committee but elsewhere, has indicated that the committee, it is his advice or opinion that the committee lacks jurisdiction. That's a fundamental question. That question, for this committee cannot proceed beyond that without getting legal opinion and clarification on this matter. This is not simply whether this is a nice to have or whether it would have been appropriate and good for the member to appear. The question the member is challenging the jurisdiction. He's saying that this is functus officio. The committee has no jurisdiction, having deliberated on the matter, send it to the House having both the House and the Senate having passed the motion to then ask member to come back. So I am saying that the issue that, as I see it, is not simply whether it would be appropriate for him to come. The question is whether the committee has jurisdiction in the matter. And let me say, as is the responsibility of the House leaders, both the leader of the House and the leader of opposition business. The leader of opposition business has sought and obtained the opinion of the House Counsel on this matter. And I think before we proceed, we may be well advised to have reference to that opinion.
The voice there of Anthony Hilton. He's an opposition member of the Ethics Committee in Parliament. But the member for West St. Andrew didn't stop there. He called on the committee to consider advice obtained by leader of the opposition business in the House of Representatives, that's Philip Powell, on the matter from Parliament's Legislative Council. But Hilton failed to provide the details of that advice to the committee.
Madam Chair, may I suggest, if the Legislative Council, because in reading the minutes, the matter did come up about seeking legal advice. In fact, my recollection is that you, in your response as chairman, thought it would not be appropriate to seek legal advice at that juncture, stating that this is a factual issue and doesn't need legal advice. Madam Speaker, I'm cautioning. I am cautioning that you may well want to be, this committee may well want to have reference to the advice of the Legislative Council as a part of this House and as part of this committee before we report on it. And contemplate what the recommendations of that. That's my advice.
All right. I'm not sure. We're saying many things. So there was some misunderstanding as to my mind as to whether the committee was seeking to revisit the decision of the exemption. The committee does not grant an exemption, and the committee was not granting the exemption. All right? Right. So that the question at the time was whether the information provided by the member required clarification in light of what had subsequently appeared in the public domain. That was the issue. Today, we are considering squarely the matter of the jurisdiction of the committee to invite back a member who appeared for consideration of the resolution to exempt him. And that resolution was already, the recommendation was made to the House, and the House acted on it. I take no issue, in spite of my views on the matter, with the question of jurisdiction to be determined. What I am saying is that the member has said in his response that the committee does not have the jurisdiction to deal with the matter. It would require, without a full resolution, referral from the House. And that is the matter that we're going back to report to the House on. You're taking issue with that?
No.
Okay.
May I have my... Yeah. No, I'm not taking issue with that.
Yes.
I'm simply saying, in addition to that,
yes,
the issue, as I read the minutes
yes,
of the previous meeting,
yes,
the discussion was a rich discussion, including
yes,
the question of whether legal advice needed to be sought.
Yes.
It was your judgment,
yes,
and your opinion that
yes,
no, it was not appropriate.
No, I said I didn't need the advice. Yes.
But what about the committee?
Yes.
It's not about you, Madam Chair.
Member,
it cannot be about you, Madam Chair. It's about
we are
the committee member.
reconsidering the matter. It's not closed. I'm not.
Please.
I'm not taking issue with what you're saying. You know, we're not on a different page.
No, we know. But I want to be very clear. Clarity is important. Bring the meeting to an end. Clarity is important. And the single issue I come back to, and I came back to it purposefully, is the issue of the opinion, the Council, Legislative Council's opinion, and it's standing in this committee where committee members in the previous committee meeting have been querying whether it would not be appropriate to get legal advice.
Yes.
You exercise your chairman's right, but I'm saying it is to the committee, and the committee wants to know the answer to that question and it not be guillotine.
But I'm not taking issue with that.
No, so why is
but I'm not taking issue with that.
So
I don't understand.
So what is the decision in respect of that
I am
opinion?
Clarifying for you that at the time when the issue of the advice arose, what my position was on it. Right. And I have clarified that. No matter is standing in cement. We are trying to find an appropriate way forward. We have deliberated on the matter. We have reflected on the matter. Where I am now is not where I was last week on the matter. I said that from the deliberations of the committee, a proper issue has arisen as to the jurisdiction of the committee to recall the member who was brought before the committee on a resolution that was sent from the House. And so the question is whether a resolution from the House would be required to bring him back. We are not in dispute on that, because at the end of the day, that is the essence of what I understood. What you're now seeking to do is for matters that you have privy to be brought before the committee at this stage. And I'm saying to you that it will come in due course, because if we are to respond to the response of the member, it would require a report to the House, and that report to the House would be deliberated on, and all of the matters that you're seeking to have introduced can be introduced and brought back before the committee. That is all I am saying.
The voice there of Marley Malahoo, fourth chairperson for Parliament's Ethics Committee. Before her, you heard the voice of Anthony Hilton. He's the MP for West St Andrew and a member of the Ethics Committee. In the end, the Ethics Committee decided to forward the issue to the House of Representatives for further deliberation. And of course, Parliament's Legislative Council has recommended that the Dennis Gordon Ethics Committee impasse be referred back to the House of Representatives as well. Now, the legal memorandum was provided by Acting Senior Legislative Counsel Tiffany Stewart on April 21, 2026. It cites emails from Member of Parliament for East Kingston and Port Royal Philip Paulwell, dated April 20, 2026 and April 19, 2026, regarding the request of the Ethics Committee. The document explains that under established parliamentary procedure, including guidance from Erskine May, any attempt to reconsider an approved exemption requires a new motion from the House. The memo further clarifies that parliamentary committees operate strictly within the scope defined by the House and cannot independently reopen or review decisions already ratified. It says to revisit the exemption granted to Gordon, the House would need to table, debate, and pass a new substantive motion, potentially including steps to rescind or amend the earlier resolution. Now, the memorandum cites Standing Order 77-7, which states that the deliberations of a select committee shall be confined to the matter referred to it by the House, and any extension or limitation thereof made by the House. In summary, Stewart says a committee is a creature of the House and possesses no independent power to revise a decision that the full House has already sanctioned. Therefore, a new motion or order from the House is necessary to authorize such a review. So the matter is not done here, listeners and viewers. It must go back to the House of Representatives for a new motion or order to be determined as necessary to authorize what the committee was seeking to do, which is perhaps revisit those statements that were made to it by Dennis Gordon. So continue to watch this one. And you know, this is parliamentary democracy at work. If there are matters of ethics that arise in the conduct of members of Parliament, one would think that the Ethics Committee should be given a mandate to look at those things. So we'll continue to watch this one for you. Don't touch the dial. This is where we bring the curtains to a close on this segment, The Nation's Business. But don't touch the dial. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, I'm going to take you around the world.
The vibes, the laughs, and the real talk, then you're one of us. Don't just listen, belong. Join the nationwide 90 FM Family Club on Patreon.
Wake up, Jamaica.
It's another glorious day on Nationwide this morning. From your 6 a.m. alarm to the news at 6. Coming up in the news at 6 to me telling you what's on my mind.
To more news at 7 a.m. Coming up in the news at 7. And then the biggest issues dissected, interrogated, and discussed on the front page. Nationwide this morning fires you up and sets you right for the remainder of the day.
And there's much more until 9 a.m. Want to know which roads to avoid on your morning commute?
Time now for Street Smarts 2 with Little but Clean.
Listen to Street Smart.
Want to hear more about things happening at the community level outside the bustling corporate area? Listen to Across Jamaica.
George, it's someone's birthday. Happy birthday, yeah, my friend. And that someone will hear a special greeting every morning via the birthday club.
Nationwide this morning on the revolution in media.
It's coffee, tea, and everything else
for those who want an energetic, rip-roaring start to their day.
Welcome back. Thank you so very much for sticking and staying with us right here inside Must Listen Radio. It's nationwide at 5. And in our closing segment today, we're going to take you to continental Africa. Now, leading South African opposition politician Julius Malema has been sentenced to 5 years after being found guilty of the illegal possession of a gun and firing it in public. But Magistrate Toinette Olivier allowed the leader of the Economic Freedom Fighters, EFF, and MP to appeal against the sentencing, meaning that he was not immediately taken to prison. Earlier, standing in court in a dark suit and red tie, Malema showed little emotion as Olivier read out the sentence, even though his political future was at stake. Last year, he was convicted of 5 offenses, including the unlawful possession of a firearm, discharging it in public, and reckless endangerment. If his sentence is upheld, Malema would be disqualified from being an MP for 5 years after leaving prison. The charges are related to an incident in 2018 when a video emerged showing Malema firing a semi-automatic rifle in the air during his party's 5th anniversary celebrations held in the country's Eastern Cape province. More in this report from SABC News.
On Malema's sentence, let's now bring in governance, politics and development specialist Lukhona Mnguni. Lukhona, good to have you on the program this afternoon. So we've heard about the legal and political angles. From a governance perspective, what is the granting of leave to appeal to Julius Malema? What does it signal about how institutions are functioning in South Africa?
Well, good afternoon, Tlantla, and to your viewers. I mean, of course, as the magistrate said, and I think she took cue from Advocate Tembeka Nxumalo to say that, the law insofar as, refusing appeals on at least leave for appeal in a matter that has to do with sentencing, the law is still open up for big debate, and therefore I think it's only fair that she gives it an opportunity to be heard in a different court. Of course, even if she had refused, leave to appeal on on both the conviction and the sentencing, Malema would have been still well prepared, as he did mention, to go and lead a petition in Makhanda in the High Court to petition the High Court for leave to appeal. I mean, these are mechanisms that are available to the institutions of the judiciary, so that people can have, particularly, it's a review mechanism that is available, so that you can, exercise it in an interest of justice and in an interest of necessarily making sure that you exhaust all avenues that are available to you as a person who may be aggrieved with an outcome of a lower court.
Yeah. Lukhona, we've heard Malema telling his supporters that he will fight the sentence tooth and nail. But while the appeal is pending, and given that the original sentence has not been set aside, what does this mean in practice for his continued role in Parliament? Some are asking this afternoon.
Well, the law is very clear and the Constitution is very clear, Nhlanhla, that you only get to be excluded from becoming a member of Parliament if you've been sentenced to a period of 12 months and above, above 12 months, without the option of a fine, and that is this custodial sentence. So, of course, this meets it for Malema, but because there is an appeal, the Constitution is very clear that this only kicks in when all the matters of appeal have been settled and exhausted, and then the person can be excluded from Parliament. And just to remember, that when you have been excluded, then there is a cool-off period after the sentence has been concluded of 5 years when you cannot go to Parliament. But then after that 5-year period, you may then again be eligible to become a member of Parliament or a member of the legislatures.
I think it's important that we make sense or crystallize that point. I mean, are there constitutional or parliamentary mechanisms that might come into play depending on how long the appeal process takes?
No, there wouldn't be any provision in the Constitution or in the rules of Parliament that can be triggered to say the appeal is taking too long. Perhaps Mr. Malema is buying his time. Even if the appeals process took the next 10 years, he would continue to be eligible to become a member of Parliament.
Yeah, but in a situation like this, Lukhona, how should institutions then balance the principle of due process, especially during an appeal, with the expectation of accountability for public officials?
Well, I mean, there has been accountability in the matter. It has exhausted in the magistrates' court. There has been a verdict of guilt. There's been a sentence that has been handed down. All that is now being exercised by Mr. Malema is constitutional rights that, if he has the financial muscle and the wherewithal to appeal the aspects either of the conviction or the sentence or both, then that is permissible and it's available to him in the Constitution. It's how our institutions are designed to create checks and balances, because when you are able to take a matter from a lower court to a higher court for purposes of review, because that's what it is. It's to say, I don't think I was treated fairly or justly. I don't think, for example, as Malema was saying in addressing his supporters, that there was a strict adherence to facts and the law, and whether there may have been emotions, there may have been politicization, there may have been mischief, as he alleged on the part of the prosecutor and the magistrate. Then you make sure that then you unpeel or you unburden the courts with the cloud or hanging clouds of people who go to the public to attack the courts whilst they don't review matters in the courts of law. So I think that's a good balance, because then the higher court, if it affirms the magistrate's court outcome, then of course the law must take its course. If the issues are overturned, then it may well mean that the magistrate had erred, and then of course why she may have erred would be open to interpretation and probably legal scholarly debate.
Yeah, but could this case then establish a precedent of some sorts for how similar matters involving high-profile politicians are handled in future?
No, absolutely. There's no doubt. As you might be aware, there's the issue of the deputy mayor in Pito from Plettenberg Bay who was seen during Umgidi, discharging a firearm a number of times, and that matter is going to be ripe before the courts in that area of our country. And I have no doubt that the person who will be presiding over that matter that involves the deputy mayor will be paying serious attention not only to today's judgment from the East London Magistrates Court, but also to the proceedings that will happen in the High Court in the future.
Yeah. Also, interestingly, some might argue that this situation tests the strength of democratic institutions in South Africa. But does it also maybe expose vulnerabilities or demonstrate resilience of our court system?
Well, look, the courts are always at a very precarious position because they don't procure matters that serve before them. And when high-profile political figures then end up having a number of matters that need to be adjudicated by our courts, and when political figures then laden the court processes with conspiracy theories of a hidden hand or an agenda that is being perpetrated through the courts, it does have the possibility and the potential to diminish the standing of the courts in the eyes of those who support the said politicians who throw mud. And we've been in this journey now of the courts, being told to be doing judicial overreach. We've been in this conversation, I think, for the last 19 years now, if not the last 22 years or so, where big politicians, big men politics, try to scare the public and say the courts are part of an agenda to settle political scores. But I mean,
Right.
as I said, if you are aggrieved, you've got higher courts to go to. And I think in this instance, you see with Malema, where he's exercising both the public gallery court of law and the judicial system as well.
Let me thank you for your time, Lukhona Mnguni, helping us connect the dots between law, politics, and institutional accountability.
That report there from SABC News. And that's where we bring Around the World to a close. And with that, also the close of today's edition of the program. Thanks to our producer, Dana Davey, our technical operator, Andrew Glenn Anderson. Don't just set, folks, that's his name, Andrew and Glenn together. Thanks to all the hardworking members of the news and production team, led by our editor, Cara Powell. This has been Nationwide at 5. I'm Tyrone Reed saying good evening.